It's the Olympics, Austin. I
Mm.
mean, isn't it awesome just to
Boom,
be
boom, 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 boom.
what's with this noises this week, man?
That was my high school ringtone for like
Was it really?
6 months. Oh, I loved it. I loved
Oh,
the NBC Olympics theme song. It's
I
awesome.
had no clue that you were such a hardcore fan of Olympics musical numbers.
It was awesome.
Let's put
But
that
yeah,
in your bio on your resume.
please do.
Intense fan of all things Olympics, including the sounds
Mm,
of it. All
mm,
right.
mm,
Well,
mm,
clearly I'm
mm.
talking to the right person because we want to talk about Auburn in the Olympics. Um, Clearly, folks, we're talking about this in the moment where it's already taking place. Some events
Right.
have already happened. Keep that in mind in some of our discussions here, but we thought it would be an important topic today for us to cover who's in it, what you can expect, and maybe predictions on who might win some medals. I don't know. I don't know. Austin had predictions earlier in the show, so maybe he's got some here. We'll see. But how do you like overall when it comes to Auburn in the Olympics? We've got a pretty good history, don't you think? Charles Barkley, lots of other moments. Suni.
Yeah, of course. I was explaining to my wife. My wife is a huge Olympics fan, but also a big gymnastics fan. I was explaining to her kind of last night as we were getting to watch some of the first day stuff. We found some of the coverage, and just like back when I was a kid, I remember so vividly watching Auburn being showcased during the swimming because it was just the heyday of Auburn swimming. And they always, now they weren't all for Team USA, but they had so many kids that were going back and competing for their own host countries. And Auburn would be talked about a lot on the coverage because it was so many of them. And so I remember that so vividly and thinking that was a cool part that Auburn was on showcase for the world. We haven't had that as much swimming prowess as lately. I think
Yeah.
Suni's helped a lot with Auburn in the Olympics, but we've got some this year.
Yes, we do. And let me just go ahead and atone for the sin I just committed. I mentioned Suni, obviously. Charles, obviously. You let me say those names in like Auburn's greatness in the Olympics without saying Rowdy Gaines.
Okay, I was waiting to bring Rowdy up.
Okay, well, we'll talk about him some more in a second, but I just want to atone for that what I just committed. That was a
That's
foul.
fine.
That was a foul.
We forgive you.
I hope so. I hope so. That's just put it on the list of fouls in this show that I've committed. It's about to be a few more here when I tried to pronounce some names because we want to talk about our current and former athletes that are competing with Auburn ties, current and former Auburn Tigers that are in the Olympics. And let me just put this out there, folks. If you are this athlete, a family member or a friend, I have a very strong Southern accent and I don't talk well, which is weird because I have a podcast.
You don't talk good.
I don't talk good. So I'm going to do my best. And some of them I may just like not skip over the one part of their name, just their last names. I think I can pull that off at least. So
I cannot wait for this.
so please, there's no disrespect meant here, but just the comedy of me trying to enunciate and talk. All right. So 11 current and former Auburn Tigers that are competing July 26th through August 11th. Across so many sports. I got stats out the wazoo for you in this, Austin. So get ready. Let's talk about these individuals first. Right at the top, let's just go ahead and talk about it. Sanisa Lee, USA, competing for us in gymnastics. Right after that, we have
oh boy,
Kenyon Sola Ajayi of Nigeria, which I've got to really, if we have time, I'm going to talk about that. I got a unique, not me personally, but
okay,
in-law ties to Nigeria, which is so I love seeing that up there. Sharamba from Zimbabwe. I'm going to leave that there. Favor Ashe from Nigeria. Marcelo.
What sports are these?
I'm sorry. I should have been saying that the entire time. I was so
that's okay.
I was so trying to not disrespect these people in their
I
name.
know you are.
All right, let me go back. Ajayi is in track and field. Favor Ashe is in track and field. Sharamba is track and field as well.
Okay.
Marcelo Kieran Greeny.
That sounds right. Sure.
For swimming and diving. Azim Fahimi. Fahmy, I believe is how that's pronounced. That's track and field. Emily Halifax, swimming and diving. Tim Putz, who's been around for a while in tennis. Valerie Tarazi, Palestine, and is a swimming and diving competition. Donald Thomas of the Bahamas, track and field, and JT Thor of South Sudan, men's basketball. So JT, we didn't. Here's the crazy thing: Auburn put out their list and did it before JT and South Sudan had made it. So he got in there like kind of last minute before they made the big announcement of how they made in there. I mean, Austin, this is a pretty big list. Like it's pretty
very
awesome.
diverse too. Lots
Like,
of countries, lots of sports.
It's
I'm
like
impressed.
it's like we came prepared to talk about that or something like that. I mean,
This is the place to do it right here.
before I dive into some of that, what sticks out to you the most from that list besides Suni being there?
Sure.
That I got to take that one away from you. What sticks out to you? Any name, any notion, any story?
I mean, I think some of it is what I just alluded to, that there's so many names on there, or countries on there, that I didn't expect.
Right.
With I think you said Nigeria, Brazil, Palestine, South Sudan, Malaysia. Like these are, it's not even one corner of the world that we're looking at. These are all over. And I recently went Emily and I on one of our walks recently. We're in the student center, and they took away all the flags.
They did.
They have taken away. Now there's another area of the student center now where they've kind of prettied it up, and there's like a circle of all the flags, but you know what I mean. And they're not hanging,
cool.
And that's where the tour guides will always say, "This is how many countries have come to Auburn." Da, 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 da.
That was a cool thing.
Thank you. It kind of hurt my little Auburn heart. But the Olympics is kind of one of those times of the year that kind of comes to life. Like there were real people that came to Auburn, whether it be for a year or for 6 years or whatever, that were from all these places around the world, and now they're back competing for those teams, but we can still pull for them in an Auburn way. So it's pretty cool to hear and put names with those people, and hope I'm going to do my best to remember them and be able to say, "Hey, Kyle butchered that name on TV" when I see them.
We were going to move past it. But you had to bring it back up. Again, no disrespect to the athletes, their families. This is simply my inabilities as a podcaster, which is ironic, to pronounce things and talk for a living. Okay, real quick. I want to go through some stats with you, but let me give you the list of countries again that are represented: the United States, Nigeria, Zimbabwe, Brazil, Malaysia, France, Germany, Palestine, Bahamas, South Sudan. How many is that?
10 out of our 11. That's pretty good.
10 out of our 11. There's only one repeat. That is Nigeria. 2 from Nigeria. That's pretty cool. Just a quick personal story. My wife's family has a history with their grandparents were missionaries over in Nigeria and are very well loved by those that they worked with over there.
Cool.
We even called her late grandfather Baba, because that's what they called him, which is a term, as I understand it, for father or revered father.
How about that?
I know. So anytime I see Nigeria pop up, I love seeing that, just because of my not personal, but married in personal connection to that. So I obviously pay attention, and I favor Shea, by the way. If you're not paying attention to him for Auburn track and field, you should be. So please do that. Okay, so there's your countries. Other stats. We have 4 veterans that are competing for the Olympics, meaning they've been there before. Obviously, Lee, Putz, Thomas, several. And again, I'm not going to try to butcher her last name again. I'm sorry. It's the hardest one for me. 6 new athletes out that have been there. If I've got my math right, I may be off by 1 there. 5 current Auburn athletes and 6 former Auburn athletes. We already talked about the 10 countries. 1 United States, but 1 repeat in Nigeria. If you look at the way those countries break down, Auburn is representing at the Olympics across 5 different continents. 2 countries in North America, or 2 individuals. 1 individual is South America, 2 from Europe, 4 from Africa, and 2 from Asia. That, my friend, is pretty incredible. I'm not done yet. I love looking at this and breaking this down. These are unofficial. Some of them are official regions, like when you take geography class. But I just want to put this in perspective for people. You have these regions represented in the makeup of all of this: Midwest United States, the East Coast of Africa, the Southern Africa, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, mainland Europe, Caribbean islands, Saharan Africa, and the tropical South American region. I mean,
it's everywhere.
We are a global phenomenon, folks. This is the Auburn family. that's just incredible. Current, former, however, they're all part of the Auburn family. And this to me, just if that wasn't enough for you, here's the sports too that we represent: track and field, swimming and diving, tennis, basketball, gymnastics. We are global. We are widely relevant in so many different things. Folks, if this doesn't show you the Auburn experience, I don't know what
I
will.
think I see your little Auburn heart growing.
It grew
I mean,
three.
it's just beating out your chest right now.
It grew 3 sizes today, man. And I'm not, listen, there's so much strife in the world and stuff like that, but this is one of those moments where you're just like, this is incredible. You know,
Oh,
like just the way Auburn is showing out on the grand stage. And hopefully we'll be talking about some of these people winning some medals. So really quickly, want to give some respect to Rowdy Gaines in a way he
yes.
represents us every year. He is obviously one of your main commentators again for swimming and diving. He's the guy yelling in the background,
Screaming.
screaming. It is not an Olympics for anybody, but for Auburn people when Rowdy Gaines, without Rowdy Gaines there. So it's fun to hear him every year, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. It was literally last night. Like I said, we were trying to find coverage, and our TV, you couldn't see the previews, but you could hear it. And I was like, oh, I recognize that voice. There's only one man who can get excited about the 100-meter fly qualifier on
to that level.
it's probably like 6 a.m. there. And I just, I think my dad is really one who taught me about Rowdy when we would watch the Olympics when I was a kid. And to know that he was the Auburn guy who had done it well, but came back and is now the voice of U.S. swimming is cool to know he's one of ours. So I think it's awesome. I think it was either 2020. I don't remember what season it was, but Rowdy got an award on the field at a football game, and me and my mother-in-law and Emily and a best friend of mine from college saw him at Tumors after the game. And I'm not someone who's like forward enough to be like, hey, can I get a picture with you? But my friend who was very into it and my mother-in-law both were like, we got to get one. So we did. And now every time I have it, I'm like, I have a picture with Rowdy Gaines. Right. So it's cool. And Rowdy is a staple of the Summer Olympics. And we're glad he bleeds orange and blue.
We are glad of that. Obviously, we're all paying attention to Suni Lee. Will she be able to make her comeback in a sense after dealing with a kidney issue that kept her from finishing her final year at Auburn? A really cool story is JT Thor. Again, they were a late, I think, entry into the Olympics, if I'm not mistaken. And him being very prominent on that team, giving LeBron James a run for his money is a pretty cool story. In that having his country represented, but also him being in there for us as another representative.
Got a big win today.
He did get a big win today. So we're talking about this on a Sunday evening. So keep this in mind. Some of this may be moot points in terms of like predictions or anything we said about time frames and stuff like that when you're hearing or watching this. Finally, I just want to bring this to people's attention as a reminder. Some of these men's track and field athletes that we're talking about nearly won you a national championship this year, and they're competing on the big stage, whether that's Favor Shea, Azim Fahmy. These guys nearly won you a national championship. So do not. What are you laughing at?
Laughing at you tried to go to the names again.
Shh, I'm trying to make up.
You did it to yourself.
I can never do it justice. Why do I have a podcast? But all that being said, go watch these guys in track and field.
Definitely.
They just nearly gave you another national championship this year. So whether you are following Suni, JT, track and field, swimming and diving, or one of our mainstays, Tim Putz in tennis, or you're just there to hear Rowdy Gaines yell, you have a million reasons to follow, to watch, and get excited about the Olympics this year, if for nothing else, for your Auburn